So first of all, thank you so much for joining us today, and welcome to the community update with Meetup CEO David Siegel. My name is Janine and I am the PR lead here at Meetup. We are beyond excited to have you join and excited to share with you what's been happening here at Meetup. I'm going to quickly go over the event guidelines and then I will pass it over to David. So let's get started with the guidelines. So yes, this event is being recorded. Do not worry, you will not appear on camera. If you like a recording of this event, it would be available on our blog, www.meetup.com/blog. And as a courtesy, everyone is muted. If you'd like to say hello, please do so on the chat. And for questions, we ask that you please submit your questions on the Q&A feature at the bottom of the screen. We love to hear from you, so we encourage you to ask questions, and David will answer questions towards the end. So without further ado, here is David Siegel. Take it away.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing with us and with Janine where you're from. The most important message I wanted to share with you today is the two most important words in the English language, which is thank you. So gracias, merci, danke. Thank you to every one of you organizers who play such critical leadership roles within your meetup groups and within your communities. I am seriously awed every time that I meet a meetup organizer. I could be wearing this shirt, which, as you might see, show up for each other meetup. Hopefully you can see that. Every time I'm wearing a meetup shirt around, I'll see someone, they'll stop me and they'll tell me they go to a meetup event, they're part of a meetup group, or they're a meetup organizer. And the level of people that just want to make the world a better place is just always astounding to me. As a brief history, Meetup was founded right after 9/11, where our amazing founder, Scott Heiferman, had recognized that the world needed to come together and be there for each other after the traumatic experiences for so many, specifically where he lived in New York City, around everything that happened with the Twin Towers. He had realized he had many, many neighbors who didn't know each other beforehand. And then after 9/11, people needed support. They needed encouragement. They needed each other. And one of the things he said is that we shouldn't need a horrible tragedy to get people together, but there should be a platform and there should be a forum for community building and to get people together all the time to do wonderful things, to do support related things, to build education and leadership. And today we are now hopefully at the tail end, hopefully, especially in Europe, thank God, I think we're really at the tail end of another horrible global crisis. The role that each of you have played, and many of you have created online meetup events during the crisis, and we didn't have those before, and now the role that you're increasingly playing in helping to get your communities back out in a safe way is really humbling to me as a CEO, and I consider myself kind of the luckiest person in the world. So I just want to say one additional point. I'm guessing about half the people here are from Europe and half the people here, organizers here, are from locations other than Europe. This is going to skew very much towards Europe, but I would say 80 to 90% of everything we're going to be talking about is relevant for anyone. So I want to make sure you know that as well, but we're going to emphasize things around Europe specifically because we are a global company in 190 different countries around the world. So without further ado, just remind us a little bit of why, at least we all love Meetup the way that we do. I want to share a brief video. And for any one of you, we've done a version of this in the US at one point, a version of this for Asia Pacific. If you've already seen this, seen this kind of conversation, We don't want this to be repetitive for you, but some of these slides you may have seen before. If this is your first time seeing it, then we welcome you with open arms. So here we go.
A lot of awesome runners here this morning.
Before you even exchange the word to your body starts changing chemicals.
I move agile, I reflect on self, I iterate. That's what
when we get out there with real people in real life. And we're going to be talking about that shortly and how we're all trying to get back out there. As many of you know, and hopefully none of you have personally experienced, there's a loneliness epidemic that exists in this world. 46% of people regularly say that they regularly feel lonely. It's a terrifying percentage of people. And if you look at how that varies by age, it's even more scary. When you think about how people in their 20s are even more regularly lonely, in terms of 62% feeling lonely on a regular basis. 25% of people said that they don't even have not one trusted confidant. That's up from 10% of people just a decade, or just a little bit over a decade ago. 1 in 4 people don't have one person. Think about all the people that you have in your life that's a trusted confidant. Think about people probably even in your Meetup community, in your Meetup group, that's a trusted confidant. 1 in 4 people can't even say that they have one person. 89% of people have said that the last social interaction that they've had has been in some way interrupted by technology. And then comes kind of what I see for Meetup as our #1 KPI, or key performance indicator for our business, which is 30 million. What that 30 million represents is the number of hours last year that Meetup facilitated around human connections. Human connections being one of the most important things in the lives that we live. 30 million hours. So I think you know a little bit about us, but just in case you don't, and you are us as organizers, we have over 50 million members worldwide in 190 countries, over 330,000 Meetup groups around the world, and we have about 15,000 Meetup events every single day. 15,000 Meetup events every day due to a lot of your efforts and your work. So again, thank you. And in continental Europe, and this does not include actually UK and Ireland or Iceland, in continental Europe specifically, we have over 25 million members. We have 2.7 million active members. We have 54,000 Meetup groups, Meetup events every week, 6,700 Meetup events every week, just in continental Europe. And obviously, as you know, a change had to happen for Meetup for a period of time. And as a CEO, we kind of dug into our soul and we said, what is Meetup about? Meetup, the end goal is not in person. The end goal is keeping connected, and human connections always matter. And there was only one safe way to do so, which was online. And organizers rallied to the cause. And organizers created over 400,000 online events. 400,000 online events were created and hosted, and many more are being hosted. Over 3 million online RSVPs, which actually, this is even a little dated, we're over 4 million now, online RSVPs in 190 different countries. And we saw those events happening across every category in the business or online events. You would think tech would go up, and obviously tech events did, and it's kind of remarkable. In our first 18 years, we really had almost no measurable online events. The focus was in person, but we said the focus needs to be about staying connected and keeping connected. And we're going to be talking about getting back to in-person shortly. But whether it was tech events, and we saw from 0 to 2,000 to 18,000 to 23,000, to career networking events, to hobbies and interests events, whatever the event or the group, there was remarkable growth in every single one of our categories. Support groups, so incredibly important during this particular time. And it was heartening to see the role that support groups played for people's communities as they needed them most during COVID. And of course, sports and outdoor was the most impacted, not surprisingly. We had the least increase in that, but it was amazing to see that certain sports and outdoor groups, they would go running, and after running, they would get back together and everyone drink a beer together and kind of talk over a Zoom call as a meetup group. And they found ways of doing scavenger hunts, and they found ways of doing things that maintained their community during this challenging time that we had as a world. And we made a whole bunch of changes within Meetup quickly to accommodate online events, whether it was making online events recurring, fixing some of the time zone issues which we've had and continue to have opportunities for improvement, shall we say, making online events more prominent within our apps, and making sure that you could use pretty much almost any video conferencing service. We have over 100 different video conferencing services that have been used within Meetup that people can put their links in to facilitate. And we're looking at other ways to make online events an ongoing part of Meetup. And what I will tell you right here and now is that the opportunity for organizers to continue to use online events, should they want to do so, will stay forever at Meetup. We will always be primarily focused on in-person. But if online events can be additive, and there's a number of reasons why they can be additive for an organizer or for a member, then we want to always have that capability. And I'm going to get into that shortly. So especially in Europe and also in Asia, but in most locations outside of certainly the US, Brazil, Russia, parts of India, there's meaningful community recovery that's happening. And even within many countries like the US, there's meaningful community recovery that's happening. And it's now time, particularly in continental Europe, and that's one of the reasons why we launched this Meetup Live event today, is to say, particularly in continental Europe, it's increasingly safe to be, as you know, to be able to take one's groups and plan events outside of online. I was just talking to a colleague in France actually this morning, and he informed me that that France, as of apparently this Monday, is I believe lifting restrictions, and it's going to be moving towards kind of business and world as usual, and we're seeing that in other locations as well. So we're going to talk about kind of our movement and your role in that movement around getting back together in person, with the most important emphasis always being around safety. Again, online will continue. In particular, if you're a member and you live in a remote area, and there's an opportunity, and there was never an opportunity for you to take part in a Meetup event because you lived in a remote area, and now you can, because Meetup is now online. That's a beautiful thing. If you are a parent of children with ADHD or whatever the support group happens to be, and we have tens of thousands of support groups out there, in online you can now access support groups, and any groups for that matter, that you wouldn't been able to access when it was solely in person. If you're an organizer and you're a tech organizer and you want to build a global platform and a global brand around one's passion, then online will again continue to be able to be used in that case. And we're asking you today, right now, to help to be leaders, as you already are, in the kind of the Get Back Together movement. And it really starts today. An email is going to be sent out to organizers and members, to millions and millions of people. An email is going to be sent out today in continental Europe, not in every country, but in many countries. I'm going to show you where soon. We're going to be giving you a challenge and asking you to host a safe in-person event sometime in the next 14 days, following the local requirements and for gatherings by local authorities and health officials. And because we want to make sure we're giving back, we're going to be donating at Meetup 50%, 50, of your next month's subscription payment to Global Giving, which is an incredible organization that helps people in hundreds of companies, frankly, around the world, around PPE equipment and a host of so many great causes. And if we achieve that challenge, then we are going to be providing those donations, and we can't wait to update you on that as well. Feel free to ask any questions during the Q&A. So what have we been doing so far? We did a quick phase 1 test a couple of weeks ago with 3 areas, China, Hong Kong, and New Zealand. Today, we're launching phase 2. Today, we're launching phase 2 in the following countries that you see listed. That means that emails are going to go out to those countries in phase 2, which is today. Phase 3, we decided to pull back on a few countries where there was a little bit more concerns around things that are happening, or we just wanted to kind of separate it out. But phase 3 is going to be coming within the next week or 2, very shortly. And we're going to be sending emails out, and we're going to be using social media to galvanize members and also non-members in your communities and in your countries. And then obviously for the US, that will come later in phase 4. For those people out here from the US, we're looking at kind of early July as the time frame for the first path within the US. But we want to be very careful around safety. And for those in the UK, we're also looking at kind of early to mid-July, depending on the location. So more to come on that as well. So in terms of getting back together, what you could see here is we're going to be tracking this from a global perspective. And we're going to be sending you links, and you're going to be able to kind of track community recovery in your area. And we're looking forward to sharing that with you so you could be a part of that community recovery. And you're going to see exactly how much recovery is happening in each of your areas, and as you know, your important role in it. This goes without saying, but it's so important to say, the in-person meetup events need to be safety first. Making sure we're meeting outside if it is possible. May not be possible, but if it's possible, think of creative ways to do that. Making sure we're encouraging masks, promoting social distancing. If it makes sense to set an attendee limit, consider doing so. If one's able to accommodate hand washing and clean up afterwards, please consider doing so. It's really important to us that Meetup events be a place of safety, because frankly, Meetup as a brand is about creating a safe environment for people to be who they are. And as we said in the shirt, to show up for each other. just want to take 1 minute right now, because we have a lot of really smart people that are on this Zoom call. And I look forward to actually getting in person and doing this at some point, in Europe and in other locations, and be with you right in person. But take a minute and just in chat, share what country and city you're in. Share whether you feel that you're ready to get back together in person, or if you've already even started getting back together in person. And if you're not ready, it was helpful for us to hear whether you think we're a week away, a month away, a few months away. I just want to take 30 more seconds to just pause and ask you to in chat share some of those experiences. It really helps us as Meetup to make sure that anything that we're encouraging, anything that we're communicating is in the context of people who are there, on the ground, and that's each of you. You're on the ground. So take 10, 15 more seconds, or while I'm talking about the next part, continue to share. And I thank you for continuing to share those. It helps us to be smarter about everything that we're doing. We have a blog. I don't know if anyone's on it. I know many people on it, I should say that, but I don't know if anyone on this call is on it. If you're not on it, it's a way to educate organizers, to communicate with organizers, to help you to know more about it, what we're doing. So we have Meetup Live, which is many different events. We've had close to a dozen events already. And I'm going to show you upcoming events. We also have a blog. So if you're not signed up for it, please consider going to meetup.com/blog so that we can continue to stay connected. And as I said, we have some awesome events coming up in Meetup Live. In fact, this Thursday, we have a special event on how to dismantle social injustice. The Black Lives Matter movement is, I hope, here to stay for a long time. And this is going to be the first of many different opportunities for us to create a safe space and an educational opportunity for people around the world. I think we have 2,000 to 3,000 people have already RSVP'd for this coming Thursday's special event with 3 extraordinary leaders. So if you want to be a part of it, please feel free to join or share with others. We also have a product update for Meetup's head of product coming as well. And I'm excited for that because there's a whole lot of things that we're doing within Meetup that we wanted to share. And then we have an organizer panel happening next week as well, related to tech. And just to give you a spoiler alert for a second, an example of something is also today, literally, we are sending communications out to every Android user, that dark mode is officially launching today. And it's going to be coming to iOS. When we say soon, we don't mean like multiple months soon. We mean like very soon, weeks away soon. And I'm looking forward to that. We've had quite a few, especially because tech is such an important vertical for us. Many people have asked us if we can enable dark mode, and that's actually going to be launching today. So that's one example of really many different things that we're going to be sharing in the product Meetup Live that's on 6/23. I don't think that live event has been made live yet, that event on Meetup, but once it does, take a look out for it. I'm sure it'll happen shortly. So we're up to Q&A. I know the good news is that many of you have already shared a whole bunch of questions, and I'm so glad that you did. I'm going to now kind of go through the questions from Allison and Christina and Todd and David and Apperson Johnson, and I think another question from Todd, and other questions that come up as they come up. So here we go. I am reading them now because I was not able to read them as they were coming up for the first time, so hope this works out okay. Allison asked, I would love some more information about benefit events for COVID-19 relief. Do you have any specific suggestions for events/engagement? Allison, that is such a great question. First thing I would say is that find a cause that really speaks deeply to your community. We chose global giving because we didn't want to prioritize one specific community around COVID relief over another community, and it's broad and applicable for every one of 190 different countries. But my first advice would be that if you're an organizer, and Allison, I don't know what type of group you're organizing. If you're an organizer around tech, then find something related to technology that will really speak to, and COVID relief that will really speak to your teams. So if you're an organizer around a cancer support group, think about a health related cause that can help as well, Allison. So that's my first suggestion of finding something that really speaks to. The other suggestion I would give is put it out to a poll. Come up with 2 or 3 different causes that you and your group can be passionate about, and by engaging them, your group, and involving them in the process around COVID relief and events around COVID relief, you're gonna get so much more participation because they're part of that process. As an example of that, Meetup is donating a meaningful amount of dollars around racial equality. And rather than just donating the dollars, we went to our employee population, which in many ways is like a Meetup group, and we chose 3 specific amazing charities related to racial equality, and we asked our employees to choose the one that really resonated with them the most. And it's more powerful around that. And then in terms of specific suggestions and events or engagement, don't mimic the way in which a fundraising event might have happened offline and try to do it online. Find fun and creative ways of doing it, whether it's scavenger hunts, I think work extremely well. Breakout groups where people can have one-on-one type getting to know each other and meet with each other on Zoom is another one that I've done and been a part of that has also worked really well, so that give people an opportunity to have one-on-one type or small group conversations. Okay, thank you for asking that, Allison. Christina asked, have you considered partnering with Zoom or similar to offer a combined discounted membership? Paying for both Zoom and Meetup is pricey for hobbyists. I have absolutely considered, in fact, we more than considered it, Christina. I reached out to Zoom. We had a meeting with our Zoom reps manager, because we wanted to get as kind of a senior person as we could get to try to have exactly that conversation. Zoom is overwhelmed, is what they basically said. They had just made Zoom free, I think, for everyone from kindergartners through 12th grade through high school. And we kept trying to get back to, they basically, I think, are a bit overwhelmed as an organization right now, and they did not expect the type of growth that they've been having. We have not been successful in trying to do some kind of a larger partnership, but I'm not giving up, and we're still continuing to try to connect with them. I would love to be able to bundle, frankly, Meetup with a host of different services that our organizers use. So for example, some organizers might use Wix, which is a platform for developing website or apps. So we're actually talking to, and we have a really good ongoing conversation with Wix right now, that how can we bundle something together to make it more efficient for organizers to use both Meetup and Wix. And that's an example of a bundling type partnership. So I wish I had a better answer for you, Christina, except for to say that we've tried, we're continuing to try, and we're also making progress with some other platforms as well. Let's see here. Todd asked about kind of some bugs in our system, which which he, I see some specifics here. I think from a product standpoint, there are some questions that Todd was asking about around printing posters and printing table signs, printing name tags, having mini photo booths. All of those are it was a long question. I think it just kind of gets to product questions generally. And I see that Peter also asked kind of what are Meetup's product priorities. Right now, I would say that there are three very significant product priorities that are in process that will have very material impacts on the business. The three are, number one is around discovery of events. So we just launched the ability both in our apps and also on web for individuals to make it a lot easier to browse and discover events that will be more interesting for a user. The second change is around our recommendation engine. We want to make sure that what we recommend to people is the absolute best events for them. So we're making some meaningful tweaks in some of the logic around our recommendation engine so that we're highlighting those groups and those events that are the absolute best experiences for our members. And much like when people say, oh, how do you rank higher in Google? The answer is pretty much have an amazing website experience and you're going to rank higher. We're increasingly building the foundation around that so that groups that have recurring people that continue to keep coming back and forth over and over again, groups that continue to be able to bring in new people, groups that get feedback afterwards that are positive experiences get surfaced more and more so that the members' experiences are kind of better and better and better. And groups that are the opposite of that will not have as much featuring. So think about the logic that happens within Google, and that's one of the big product changes that we're making is around our recommendation engine, really surfacing great stuff for our members. In terms of our organizers, you're going to be hearing a little more at the product event. I don't want to steal their thunder. In a week from this Thursday. No, I'm sorry, a week from today, on the 23rd, a week from today, a lot more around, and you see a demo actually of a new event organizing experience that we are giving people the option to select into. We're not going to be forcing this new event organizing experience, but there's a tremendous number of different requests that have been included in our new event organizer, and we're going to be sharing a demo of that in a week from today. So I encourage you to sign up for that Meetup Live event in a week from today around our new event organizer that people, again, aren't going to be forced into, but they can avail themselves of and be part of the first rollout, which will be, we're going to limit it to only 500 organizers, or 600 organizers, excuse me, in our first beta. And if you want to be part of one of those after you see the demo, then there's going to be a opportunity to be a part of that. And we're going to have a Slack channel devoted to the beta for any organizers as well. So you're going to hear a lot more about that from a product standpoint. So Peter and Todd, thank you for asking around that. Apperson Johnson asked, how about hybrid in-person online? I'm 70, will not feel safe until there is a vaccine. Thank you, Apperson, for asking about it. Especially for any groups of individuals like yourself that could be immunocompromised or age-related. That's why online is so important. We are going to be, another feature that we're focused on is for groups with speakers and groups with panelists, we want to make it a heck of a lot easier to have hybrid events, to have events that are in person, but the online experience is not like second fiddle and is a terrible experience for those that are joining from online. So there's a number of different features that we're bubbling up and we're prioritizing, and we're very much focused on speaker or panelist type events for making those to be just as good, if not in certain ways even better, for people who want to come in online, and also for those that are in person. So I actually forgot to mention, Apperson, so I'm glad you did. Hybrid events is something that from a product standpoint, we're going to be prioritizing in terms of feature sets. So you're going to be hearing more about that. I don't recall if we're going to be talking about that in a week from Tuesday, but it's something that's that is very high priority and we talk about frequently, and we've decided to prioritize those events. Super important. Barbara asked, can you facilitate a way to meet up with other organizers regionally? Oh, Barbara, yes. So one of my passions is exactly this topic. I have gone to a number of different events where before COVID, I went out to San Francisco and I went to a number of different locations in the kind of the Bay Area. And we met with organizers, and we had plans to be meeting with organizers in Barcelona and in a whole bunch of different other locations. Everything got canceled, unfortunately, because of COVID. Bringing organizers together to learn from each other, to mentor each other, to learn about what works and what doesn't work is a great value that Meetup has fallen short in. Let me put it bluntly. And it's a value that we have to stop falling short in because it's so valuable for us to do it. So one of the benefits, shall we say, of online meetup events is that we could set up meetup groups for organizers where everyone in France or everyone in Paris or everyone in a country or in a city, every organizer gets invited to be part of that kind of group. And even if the group spans a country, then they could get together. The other path is, let's say that you run a women's hiking group. Well, you might have a lot of things similar to the 50 or 100 other women's hiking groups that are, or about 500 other women's hiking groups all throughout Meetup. Well, let's create a Uber group, shall we say, for organizers around any organizer who's organizing a women's hiking group, any organizer who's organizing a book club, any organizer who's organizing a cancer support group, and can be a part of, and people can learn things from each other. It's something that, as you can tell, I feel so strongly about, and we just have to get our act together, honestly, and get better at providing this. So it's a good reminder and kick in the pants, Barbara, because I agree with it completely. And keep reminding me about it. That's what I would say. Keep reminding me about it. Hopefully you won't have to keep reminding me about it. And the last one, because I know the hour is late, we have 1 minute left. I'm going to mispronounce this, so I apologize. Geroid, you're from Ireland. We love the philosophy and emphasis on safe spaces. We're keen to go offline, and most of us want to do stuff outside and healthy. We have difficulty with doing this and synchronize with local guidelines. Do you see a time that Meetup can give local guidelines? Thanks. So that's a good question. It's a complicated thing because at Meetup, I don't feel comfortable being the arbiter of guidelines across 190 different countries. We have had some contact with local authorities in different countries, Australia being an example of and been consulted, Australia being one example of that. But I think it's dangerous for Meetup to be in the decision maker position around guidelines. What I would say is that countries are different. Every city within a country is different. And find ways to create a safe environment, whether it's everyone wearing masks, everyone being outside, limiting attendance. Find ways to safely get back together in person. And if you do, it's a first baby step to doing what something bigger that you may want to do at that time. So without further ado, I just really want to thank everyone. I really want to thank everyone from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for showing up for each other as we have here. And thank you for all the incredible work that each of you do in your community groups and really making the world a better place. And I just want to really encourage every one of you. If you know other meetup organizers in your cities and it's safe, encourage them to organize an event. Encourage them to organize an event in the next 14 days. You're going to get an email within the next several hours. You're going to get access to our landing page where you could track getting back together. And this is going to happen because of your work. So tell others about it, share it with others, and I look forward to continuing to communicate as much as we can in a very transparent way with each of you. Take care, everyone. Stay safe. Bye-bye.